Before you close the year, you should complete certain tasks to make sure your data is complete and error-free. In this lesson, you'll learn how to identify and correct payroll audit errors. You can audit and repair some of the stored balances for employee records before you file quarterly or yearly payroll reports or perform the payroll year-end close. Let's begin with the Audit feature. The Audit feature compares the quarterly totals for each payroll calculation and compares to the employee totals stored on the employee record. The Audit searches for check dates that do not fall within the correct payroll quarter and identifies uncomputed and unposted payroll records. The Repair feature recalculates the gross wages, Canada Pension Plan, and employment insurance totals which appear on an employee's record. The Repair option also recalculates the quarterly totals for each payroll calculation and compares them to the quarterly totals in the employee record. If the recalculated totals do not match the stored totals, a variance exists. Variances can result from factors such as the following: incorrect Canada Pension Plan and employment insurance tax calculations on hand-computed checks, and changes to payroll calculations after you compute payroll records. Correct variances before you perform the payroll close. Later in this lesson, we'll discuss one exception to this rule. To begin the payroll audit process, select menu 537 Payroll Audit, then click Audit. When the audit is complete, a message displays the number of audit errors, if any are found, as well as the amount of uncomputed records, unposted records, and any quarter number and check date mismatches. To print the audit report, click Yes. This report breaks down any errors on the associated payroll records. In this example, there are no audit errors, but there are a few uncomputed payroll records. To correct the errors, review those payroll records are accurate and complete, and then final compute. If the payroll records should not be in the system, void the records. To final compute payroll records, open 523 Compute Payroll, select the Final Compute option, and filter for the records you need to final compute. To confirm the errors are corrected, rerun the audit in 537 Payroll Audits. When the audit completes, click Yes to print the audit report. There are other errors you may receive when you run Payroll Audit. Let's take a look at some of these now. You may have unposted payroll records. These records are final computed but not posted to the general ledger. To correct unposted payroll records, open 526 Post Payroll and post the payroll. As mentioned earlier, there is one exception to the rule about correcting payroll audit errors. The exception is if your company uses a third-party payroll service. In this scenario, where your company uses a third party to process payroll, you do not have to post the payroll records, but you must final compute the records to create the job cost records. You will be able to close the payroll year with this type of audit error. The last error we'll discuss is quarter number does not match check date. This error indicates that a check date does not fall within the quarter selected on the 522 payroll record. Let's take a look at how to correct this. To correct the quarter check date mismatch, open 522 payroll records and pull up the record indicated on the payroll audit. Then determine whether you need to correct the check date or the quarter. In this example, the quarter is wrong. To correct this, click in the quarter field and change the quarter to the correct one. If the check date was wrong, make the correction the same way. Click in the check date and modify the date. After you make your changes, click Save. After you address all of the payroll audit errors, open 537 Payroll Audit and choose the Repair option to recalculate all employee totals. In some cases, running the repair option might not fix all of the audit errors. If this is the case, contact customer support for assistance. Now that you completed this lesson, you should be able to identify and correct payroll audit errors.